This podcast contains strong language and adult themes from the outset.
Finding the funny. Finding the funny. With Ruth and Ange. Finding the funny.
Ange,
Passy.
I've got a straight up question for you.
Oh, okay, great. Hit me with your rhythm stick.
How do you feel about roller coasters?
Well, I mean, I haven't really done many roller coasters
Roller coasters
in my life.
No.
Because I've always been a bit of a wimp about that sort of stuff.
Right, let's just say how it is. You're a bit of a wimp.
Yeah,
I'm like that.
I'm not a big adrenaline junkie.
No.
I'm not big into the rides. I'm not big into jumping out of planes. I'm not big into parachutes. I'm really just not into that.
Hang on. If anyone is, who's going around going, I'm big into parachutes?
Adrenaline junkies.
You know Simon down the road? Oh, yeah, Simon, great guy. Yeah, big into parachutes.
Exactly. Yeah. Big into parachutes, big into skydiving, all that shit.
Big into all that shit, yeah.
And it's not really me, but...
It's not your vibe.
I actually think I am getting braver in my old age.
You want to go on a roller coaster?
A roller coaster. Well,
Shit.
I did go... The one I have been on once in my 46 years of life.
Yeah.
Was back a few years ago now, and we were in the old La La Land visiting the big dog.
Yeah.
And we went to Disney. I think it's Disneyland.
For anyone that's new around here, the big dog is our brother James.
James, yeah, the big JC,
yeah. The big JC.
Not Jesus Christ.
No.
I think the one in LA is Disneyland, isn't it?
Yeah, the one in Florida is Disney World.
Right. So we went to Disneyland, La La Land one.
Yeah.
And we're going around, doing all the little rides and shiz because we had kids with us and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then James was like, right, hang on. What is the roller coaster? One of the big main ones there. I can't remember.
Space Mountain.
Is that the one? Is it when you're in the dark?
There's one of those at Disney World as well, but I'm pretty sure there's one of those at Disneyland.
Right. Well, it was that, right? And James was like,
Mountain, yeah.
Let's go on Space Mountain. I'm like, no, I can't do it. He's like, come on, stop being a dick. Let's go and do it. So then, and Joel was like, I don't know, it was a few years ago now. So say he was like about 14, 15, something like that. And I'm like, come on then, Joel, let's do it. And we were both absolutely shitting our pants. Like,
well, we nearly went on it in Orlando, didn't we?
Yeah. And then I think because of your doubt, it made me doubt.
I know, and then we were
and then we all doubted it and got off, apart from Mal and Mari.
Marty and Mal went on, didn't they?
Yeah. And then at the end, I was like, why didn't I bloody do that?
I know, I felt the same.
Yeah. But I did it in LA, right?
Yeah, you did
Me,
Space Mountain in LA.
James and Joel.
Right.
And although I was absolutely shitting it,
yes,
I got off it and I bloody loved it. And I was pleased that I did it.
Oh, yeah. Do you know the scariest thing I've done? Straight up, no. And I think this beats any roller coaster. If you've never done them, like, it is terrifying.
What?
The waltzers at a fairground.
Oh, no. See, I can't be doing that.
Oh, my God.
You around.
Oh, my God.
No.
Yeah. And so there's this. So I'm screaming my head off, going, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Like, absolutely terrified. This thing is like spinning. Like, you feel like you're going to come off the wheels. Like, it's going to go up into the air. And the guy in the middle is going, that's right, guys, scream if you want to go faster.
And then you're trying not to scream.
Yes, yeah. So I'm absolutely fucking screaming my head off. But in my mind, I'm going, that prick in the middle is going to think I want to go faster.
Yeah, exactly.
But I got off of those. And I was like, oh, God, I want to do it. The adrenaline.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, if you can just get over your initial fear,
it's fine.
You then absolutely love it.
Well, when I went to South Africa on my gap year. On my gap year.
Gap year.
Yeah, I did my gap year. We went to this big theme park that had this huge roller coaster, and I think it was like the biggest roller coaster in the Southern Hemisphere or something like that. Anyway, wow. Absolutely massive.
Wow.
And Michelle, my friend Michelle, who I spoke about last week.
Show leader.
The girl that was like, I'm not sharing my drink with you.
Yeah.
So her and her now husband, Matt Leader, Matt Leader, who did our jingle. Matt Leader did our jingle.
He did.
We're in the queue. I'm like, I can't do this, guys. I can't do this. They're both saying it's fine. Like, Matt's like, you can. Oh no, Michelle's like, you can sit next to me. We'll be fine. Anyway, I get on the roller coaster, absolutely bricking it. You know the bars that come down. They come down, right? And I start crying. And I
Classic
say,
Patty, that.
yeah, I mean, I was like in my early 20s. I wasn't like 12. We go, this is adult realms. This is adult vibes. I start crying, and I go to Michelle. I've got to get off. I've got to get off, Michelle. She's like, no, we're about to start. We're about to start. And there's this emergency, like on all roller coasters, there's this emergency thing that you can press if you've actually genuinely got to get off before it starts.
Because you're going to vomit or something.
Oh yeah, or because you're just, I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna get off. So I press this thing. I call the dude over. I'm like, you've got to release me. You've got like really over dramatic.
That's unlike you, Pat. That
you've got to release me. I can't go. You've got to release me. You've got to release me. Anyway, he lifts the bar up and I get off, and Michelle's like, "You're a dick."
Yeah, you're a dick.
You're a dick.
Yeah.
And I actually regret not going on that.
Exactly. I know it is. It's so that fear you feel, and I think the thing is as well. It's like the unknown. I don't know what this is going to feel like. I don't know if like within 2 minutes of being on it, I'm going to deeply regret getting on it. But I actually think if you can just get past that, generally,
you have a great time.
Thing. Yeah.
Do you remember when we did Splash Mountain in Orlando? That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. We got absolutely drenched.
And I think some of the scariest things that I remember, this is a little kind of story that I tell quite frequently. I don't know if I've ever told this one actually on podcast.
Right.
But again, we're going back like probably 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we were in Canada and we went to this water park. Now, this water park, it was a water park in the summer, and then it was a ski resort in the winter, right?
Amazing,
right? But it also meant that actually a lot of the ground was quite hard because it was more sort of concrete rather than, like a lot of water parks, that spongy sort of flooring.
Spongy fingers.
Anyway, anywho, Joel and I decide that we are going to go on every single ride. Now,
go on, Joel.
I absolutely regretted agreeing to that within a few minutes.
Right, okay.
Anyway, one of these rides that I went on was called the Kamikaze. And it literally was this almost...
They've got that at one of the water parks in Orlando.
Oh, have they? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was literally a vertical drop.
Yeah.
But not... I think that some of the more modern water parks now, it's all like encased, so you get in it and then you just drop down the bottom. This one was
open,
old school water slide, right? So it's completely open, and you just get in it and it just drops you vertically.
Terrifying.
Then it sort of goes on a little up and down thing, and then you come down to the pool. Now, I got on it, and they obviously tell you the whole thing about crossing your arms over your chest, and so I got on it, crossing my arms over your chest, shut my eyes because I was like, I can't actually watch what I'm doing or where I'm going here. I'm just going to shut my eyes, right? So I shut my eyes, and as I'm going down the vertical drop, right, and then I'm coming up the whoopy bit.
Whoopy.
I think I've come out of the slide.
Oh no!
I feel like
you think you're free falling.
Yeah, I think I'm flying.
Oh my god, that is terrible.
Yeah, I was literally, I had my eyes shut. I was like, I've come out the slide. I'm flying through the air. That's how I felt, right? So I thought, I'm going to have to open my eyes just to see if I am still in the slide. Obviously, I was still in the slide. But for a moment, I thought I'd come out of the slide. I had visions of me just flying over
through the air, thinking this ground isn't spongy, it's concrete. I'm gonna hit the deck here, and it's gonna be game over.
I'm gonna break every bone in my bloody body. It was honestly so scary.
Terrifying.
I honestly was like, shit, I've come out of this slide. I'm actually flying through the air.
I'm actually just falling through the air. And that is when you wish you were into parachutes. You wish you just lived your life with a parachute on your back.
Exactly. Then I would have been fine.
So I thought I'd start with your roller coasters.
Yeah. Now I think we should just also quickly touch on your recent Costco visit.
So for the first time in my life this weekend, I went to Costco and I fucking love it.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a bit of an idea of how much Patty loved it. So when we were doing our prep, first thing she comes on, Patty, I've been to Costco. Oh, right, okay. Honestly, Ange, you won't believe. Right, I got like
I
a
know.
whole pallet of Diet Cokes for £5.
For like £3.
I got, steaks, burgers, sausages, chicken.
I got
two
a
whole
tub
chickens
of,
for £4.
I got a massive tub of Marmite for like £1.50.
Don't you find it weird how when you do go to places like that, you can't help but tell everyone what you got and how cheap it was?
How amazing it is. You never guessed what? Two chickens, £9, £4, £9, whatever it was. Two chickens. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then you know what will happen, because I gave quite a lot of meat to Mal and Margs. Like when I told Mal and Margs, they were just over the moon.
Yeah.
It was like I'd told them I was pregnant, that my womb worked. It was a similar sort of reaction.
Well, that was probably their equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah, they've never experienced that with me. So they were like, "Oh God,
amazing!
She's birthing a Costco card."
She's into Costco, and she's got a card.
And so all they kept saying is my mum's twin is called Marilyn and her husband's called Rob, and mum and dad refer to them as Mar and Rob. She just kept saying, "Oh, Mar and Rob have got one. They absolutely bloody love it. The meat." Mara just says to me all the time, "The meat is just absolutely fun." Anyway, what will happen now is when mum and dad serve that meat up, if they have friends round or whatever, they'll say, "Yeah, that meat, Costco. Yeah, that steak
it's also
only costs
the fact
50p."
that both Mal and Margs, when they were talking about the Costco shiz and how much Mal and Rob love it,
yeah.
Both of them said, "Yeah, they got the sofa from there, the 3-piece from there."
Yeah, they both called it a 3-piece.
A 3-piece. They got their 3-piece from there.
I think Mum actually just said, "Mar and Rob, they got their sweet there.
Sweet.
That's where they got their sweet."
But isn't it? Because you can literally get, like, you can go
Anything.
there to get a chicken and come out with a TV.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's that sort of shop, isn't it?
Honestly, I've never been before, and the magnitude of it. Like, I was blown away at how big the trolleys are. Like everything's on steroids. Fucking massive trolleys. The trolleys. Oh my God, massive trolley. Like massive.
Because you got to fit your TV in.
Yeah, massive sturdy girl trolleys.
Sturdies, yeah.
And then like just aisles and aisles, like from floor to ceiling of like, I got a kilogram bag of Skittles. Outrageous.
I reckon we could get a lot of feedback from listeners on Costco.
About Costco. Yeah. Well, when I put it on my stories, I put the picture up outside and then I put a picture up inside, and I was with Lady Cassandra. We talked about Cassie before. And I said, I wonder how many people, honestly, we were amazed. My inbox on Instagram went nuts.
Serious.
Like everyone, like, I love Costco. You got to do a Costco haul. What did you get?
Well, I think we should put a call to action for listeners, right? We want to know, like, what's the most random thing you've gone in Costco, or one of those visits where you've gone, we're going to get this, and we're not coming out with anything else but this, and you come out with, a TV, a stereo, some Birkenstocks. I remember Birkenstocks were big in Costco for a while. They were. Well, all those Birkenstocks, yeah.
And you know, don't you, when you say to someone, "Oh, I like your Birkenstocks, Costco,
yeah,
Costco, £2.50.
Gone for a £9. Gone for a £9.
Saw them on the website for 35. Went to Costco, got them for 9.
Yeah. So
okay,
I think
good call to action.
Yeah, we should. I'd love to know about your Costco visits. What you get. Have you ever gone there and literally come out with a 52-inch TV or whatever it is you can get in there? And a pair of Birkenstocks.
Well, look, there's loads of ways you can get in touch with us. You can find both Ange and I on Instagram. I'm at Ruth Corden. She's at Ange Corden.
And you can also find us both under the Finding the Funny brand, both on Instagram and on Facebook.
So let us know your Costco hauls. Shall we do?
Because
it's making a comeback.
Yeah, I thought I'd make that quite a grand.
Well, we haven't done it for months, have we? This is making a comeback.
Yes.
The big question.
And it actually is a bloody good big question.
Yeah, come on, give us the big question, Ange.
Okay, so this question came in from Ruthie. I love that.
Ruthie
on Gram. And Ruthie asks, what is the male equivalent name for a Susan or a Karen? Which is, I have not really ever given that any thought.
I think it might be a Graham.
Yeah.
I
Graham.
think
Graham. Graham. Do you remember the wall? Graham.
Graham.
The wall. Graham.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen. I can't remember what the episode's called, but we
No.
have a very, very in-depth chat about Danny Dyer's
Yeah.
show, The Wall.
Wall.
Graham.
And he actually would say, "Let's Graham." Graham. They had one of the contestants was called Graham, but obviously Danny struggles with his R's, so he was just calling him Graham. Right, Graham.
And he said at one point in that episode, "Talk to your wife." But yeah, I think of Graham. Do you know? I think I did read somewhere that somebody has said that Matthew is the equivalent name for a Karen.
Really?
Yeah.
I was wondering whether it could be like a Mal.
No, I don't think
You don't think
Malcolm.
Malcolm,
no,
Mally?
no. I think Graham. That would be it for me. I think Graham's.
Are they Susans and Karens because they're really like common names? Is that why they get given that sort of title?
I don't know how Karen has become a Karen.
No.
But Karens can be Karens, can't they? There is a certain like. Not all Karens. Let's just caveat this. Not all Karens.
Do
and
you
I'm sure
know
there's-
any Susans or Karens that are Susans and Karens?
that are shirty?
Yeah.
No.
No, same.
But yeah, I think Graham or
What about,
maybe
like a Brian.
yeah. Although Brian's can be quite soft and fluffy around the edges, can't
Yeah, a
they?
bit like a Ted.
Yeah.
I wonder if you Google it, if it gives you.
Oh yes,
if it
good
gives you,
idea.
like,
The
you
male,
know, yeah,
the male equivalent to
a Karen.
Okay, somebody has put. There's like a chain here that I've followed. Somebody's asked this question on like a group thing.
Yeah.
What's the male equivalent of a Karen called? You know, the guy who always wants to speak to the manager because he's entitled to better services or upgrades. Somebody's commented saying, "We just call them dicks here, male or female dicks, have no gender. Even the cats are dicks. This is Scotland. We don't do that Karen nonsense. This is offensive to anyone called Karen. They're just called dicks." That is hilarious.
Dicks, yeah.
And this is Scotland. We don't do that Karen nonsense. One of our OGs, Vicky, she's from Scotland. She'd agree with that. That's the type of thing she'd
Yeah,
say.
she
innit?
would actually.
We
yeah.
just call them dicks here.
Yeah. Which is actually quite accurate. I mean, I call
Yeah.
a lot of people dicks.
Yeah, let's drop the Karen, Susan,
Yeah.
Jenny thing. Let's just call them dicks.
Yeah.
Because that is what they are.
Exactly. They are a massive dick.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so we're on to the old dickish
Dickish.
behaviours. And Helen, Aunt Grandma, sent in a great dickish behaviour.
Yeah.
And she says, when it's an empty train, bus or tube and someone sits right next to you, what the actual fuck?
Yeah. What is that about?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I had that happen to me on Thursday.
I don't think it's ever happened to me.
It wasn't even, it was like I was in a pretty much empty carriage and this guy got on and just sat in the seat next to me. And I actually said, "Excuse me, I need to go to the loo."
And then just sat somewhere
Yeah,
else.
she went and sat somewhere else. I was like,
Yeah, that would freak me out.
there's a million other seats, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I get onto a train or a tube or whatever. I
want
want
to there, Ange. You trying to clear?
I am actually, yeah.
You trying to clear there, mate?
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to sit away from everyone.
Oh, me
Like
too.
I want to find a seat, a doubler, or if it's your ones with your fours, your table vibe.
Yeah.
I want one of those completely on my own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't want to sit near anyone, and it annoys me if I find one on my own and then someone comes and sits next to me.
What about though? If you find one on your own and then next stop someone gets on and they're a talker.
Oh God, forget it.
Oh,
Forget it.
you know who loves that?
Mal.
Margs.
She does actually.
Mal
yeah,
and,
you're
Mal
right.
and Margs both
Margs
love.
more so, though. I'd say you're right.
Oh, Margs loves
Yeah.
a talker.
Yeah.
She'll make eye contact with people who've got kids.
Mm.
She'll be like, "Hiya, oh, he's cute." You're like,
Yeah.
Mum, what are you doing? Why are you starting it?
Yeah, she'll talk to anyone, Marks, won't she?
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And then it's like, oh, where are you off to? You going to London?
Mm.
Oh, that's lovely. Mum, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? Why are you starting a conversation with Karen? We don't like Karen.
She does,
What?
doesn't she? Mum
Oh,
loves to chat to
God.
people, like everywhere and anywhere.
And you know, someone gets on the train and they sit next to you on one of those table things or opposite. You're like, don't. And the moment you make eye contact, they smile. You think, God, you're a talker. You're a
Yeah.
talker.
I actually think though this is where your masks can come into hand.
Oh, really helpful.
You know, you can basically. I mean, that's almost like a clear. I don't want to talk. I've got a mask on. I'm not wanting to breathe. I don't want to breathe in this environment. I definitely don't want to talk in this environment.
I don't want to breathe in this environment. I might be dead by the time we get to Paddington.
Yes,
by the way.
in which case you can resuscitate. But then basically the mask is my signal to just leave me the hell alone.
When I flew back, same on my gap year. Michelle's coming up a lot, isn't she, in the old podcast?
Jolene.
When we flew back from South Africa on our gap year, we were sat together, her and I, and there was a guy, like the aisle, and then there was a guy who was getting hammered, slowly hammered. Brilliant. And he started chatting to us. And at one point, Michelle had a, like, you know, you get those eye masks on aeroplanes or it's a night flight.
Yeah.
She said to him, just so you know, I'm loving talking to you, but the moment I put my eye mask down, that's your signal to shut up. Straight off the bat, top of the flight.
Don't you find as well, like, when you get a taxi, or even, you know, we've been fortunate a few times to have like a car to you know, take us to events or pick us up or whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to talk her.
I swear the last few times I've had that, like when I went to this morning, when we did this morning stuff, this man spoke and I was like, please, and I can't tell him to shut up. Do
you know what comes in handy there? Headphones.
Yeah.
So I got into the car for this morning with my headphones in, and I actually, as I got in, made out I was on the phone,
right,
and was like, yeah, I know, hiya mate, yeah, this morning, yeah, that's right, hiya, yeah, sorry, I'm just on the phone, yeah, and then when that call had finished, I just like put my head back or like pretend call, just put my head back and shut my eyes, because I'm just like, you've got to give the signals.
Yeah, I know. I'm always like, I want to be polite, I want to say hi, how you doing?
But there's a line.
Yeah.
There is absolutely.
I'm not very good at that line at the moment. I'm too.
No, well, just get in with the old AirPods in.
Well, now I've got my AirPods. I can do that. I do, you know,
and just be, you know, because obviously there's going to be loads of TV appearances coming up for us.
Oh yeah, exactly. We're going to be a lot of cars. We're
going to be in that situation a lot, mate. This is it now. 2022, it's the year of the chauffeur.
I'm being rude. I think that's why I'm. You know. I'm always a bit more like conscious of that. I don't want to appear to be rude.
Well, I think sometimes you've got to appear to be rude to get a nice journey under your belt.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to think of the greater good. And, you know, be polite. Morning, mate. Hiya, just on the phone here. Sorry, just on the phone. Yeah, this morning. Cool, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And then back to you. Yeah, well, you know, and then I said to her, yeah, look, got to go. I might lose signal, got to go. Head back, eyes shut, done.
I'm going to try it. I know I'm not going to be very good at that shit. I'm just not. I'm just too nice, really. That's the problem.
It depends, because you're fucking rude to me. You're too nice to people that you don't know or love. You're horrible to the people that you know really well and love. Basically,
that's you know, that's a massive compliment to you.
That is oh God, what your sentences that start with? Do you know what you do a lot?
Yeah,
here comes a massive compliment.
Yeah. When I'm being like that with you, deep down, you know that that's because I love you deeply.
And that you can be yourself.
And I can be a cow to you. So you have to take that with all the good grace that it's coming with.
But Ken, the driver.
Yeah. Or Terry.
Or Terry.
Yeah.
Or Greg.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No. Because I always think I'm never going to see them again. And I want them to have a good opinion of me.
Right.
Whereas you... You know, I just
have a consistently bad opinion of you. 24/7. That one-off time with Ken, he's got a great opinion of you. I think you're a bitch 24/7.
Yeah, you know, as long as Ken's going around. Oh, I met Ange the other day. That's all I care about is your Kens and your Terrys and your Karens.
As long as Ken's going around saying, yeah, that Ange Corden.
Yeah,
amazing.
She's so lovely. We chatted for an hour and a half in the car.
When we fall out and split up, and we go our separate ways.
Then I'll be more like I'd start calling you Ken then.
Well, then I would be, and then I can be like, no, seriously, she's nice. Yeah, Ken, you had her in the car. Yeah, she's nice to your face. Fucking
Yeah.
bitch behind
Ken,
your back, mate.
you had her in the car.
You had Ange in the car. And she was nice to you, wasn't she? Yeah. She phoned me when that Ken, he's a right prick. She's a bitch behind closed doors,
Shut
mate.
up the whole way there,
Oh,
Ken.
God. Slagged you off.
Yeah,
Couldn't wait.
yeah.
30 seconds in, slagged you off. She was messaging me in the back of that car. Remember the journey. Ken's a twat.
I
But
think
yes,
Ken
we're
actually
with you,
works
Helen.
very well for that.
Yeah, Ken.
The
That is a
more I've
good
said it,
Karen name, isn't
Ken
it?
is working well, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Ken is the male equivalent of
Yeah.
Karen.
Anyone that I come across that is a twat/dick is now going to be called Ken.
He was a right Ken.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
God,
it
look at
does
that Ken.
work.
Yeah. Ken.
It does work.
You're actually quite aggressive with that as well, can't you? Ken. You know, it's... Fucking hell, Ken. You know, you can give it quite a good.
But if they're called Kenneth, they're lovely. If they refer to themselves as Kenneth. They're lovely.
Yeah, hi Kenneth. Yeah.
Like Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you reckon
Yeah.
he could be a bit Ken though? I reckon he could probably be a bit Ken.
Do you?
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh, if you're listening, welcome. It's nice to have you with us. Do you actually know? Do you know what name I would say is the equivalent of Karen or Susan right now?
And
Boris.
Oh.
Boris. Boris is the male equivalent
Boris.
of Ken or Susan,
Yeah.
aka Bojo, with all your fucking parties.
Everyone's a Boris.
Everyone is a Boris.
I've actually thought though of recent times with all this, you know, coming out of, you know, all the shit that they've been doing over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That I've sort of thought, do you know what? Being a politician is just one big party, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm actually
God,
I'd
isn't it?
like to get into that sort of
Yeah.
vibe, you know, just having
Yeah.
parties every fucking week.
Not sticking to the rules.
Yeah. Come round to the garden.
Taking suitcases to
Yeah,
the co-op,
to the
so you can
shops
fill
to
it
fill
with
it with
booze.
I thought, do you know what? Give me a bit of this Tory action.
Yeah.
I'll be in there. Yeah, I'm all right with that. I don't give a shit. You can think I'm an absolute piece of shit, but I'm partying.
I'm
And you're
just
not.
pissed all the time. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. I've just been down the local co-op buying a suitcase full of booze to go into the garden and drink. You lot are in lockdown.
I'm pissed all the time, making massive decisions
Yeah.
for the country. What do I care?
Yeah. I actually, do you know, I have thought when all this. I thought, do you know what? I want to be a politician,
Yeah.
particularly in the Tory party. Although I think they're probably all doing the same thing anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they all are, but yeah.
I think if they were in power, they'd all be doing the same thing.
I think there's Tory politicians that are absolutely outraged and weren't doing it, and you know, ministers and
I'd want to be with Bojo's crew. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah. I want to be in the Bojo Massive.
Yeah. I want to be out there drinking, having fun.
Joe's asked a good question. What about the name Kenny? Because that changes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, see, Kenny's softer.
I think Kenny's all right.
Yeah.
Kenny G.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love a bit of Kenny G.
Yeah, he seems like a ledge.
Yeah. Also, wasn't Kenny one of the characters in that cartoon? South Park. He always had that big hood on.
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kenny is soft.
Yeah, I think your Kennys
Your
and your
Kenneths.
Kenneths
Yeah.
are all right.
It's just your Kens.
Your Kens and your Boris
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I think the male equivalent of Karen in my world is Boris.
Yeah.
Okay, so in our sort of don't go there more difficult conversation this week, we thought we would have a conversation about the very, very tragic death of Aisling Murphy, which was it just seems like there's been a barrage of these women who have been, you know, murdered in terrible circumstances. And I think as two women and as somebody who is the auntie of nieces and is the mum of a girl, it is terrifying. And also, you know, the auntie of nephews and the mum of a son, because I think there's a conversation with boys and men, isn't there, that we need to have about the way we treat people. But the thing was, for me, was I saw people might have seen it going around on social media. Vicky Patterson shared it. That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually by Vicky, was it?
No, it wasn't. No.
Can you remember who it was by?
Oh.
Laura.
because it was shared by quite a lot of people. I think Mother
Laura
Pucker
Bates,
might
I've got her, I think.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter what so she put out a sort of post off the back of, because there was the whole narrative around Sarah Everard, wasn't there? She was just walking home. She'd worn some sensible shoes. She'd phoned her boyfriend. With the same with Aisling Murphy, she was just going for a run. There was that teacher recently, another teacher, wasn't there, who was awfully murdered as well, and that whole narrative around she was just doing this. And Laura Bates on Instagram actually put out a post that said it doesn't matter what she was doing. And it sort of stopped me a bit in my tracks, really, because she said within this that, she gets why people were outraged.
Yes. Yeah.
And she gets why it was, she was just going home, and that Sarah Everard did all the right things. She wore the right shoes. And, it comes from a great place of grief and rage. But actually, when we said she was just doing this or she was just doing that, it suggests that the case wouldn't quite have been so awful or tragic if she'd have been like a prostitute or in an alleyway,
and probably wouldn't have got the same level of press.
No. If she was meeting her married lover, or she was walking down an alleyway at 2 a.m, or she was on drugs, or she'd been wearing, it sort of says, or if she was drunk, it says it would be a little less awful in those circumstances, and it devalues women's lives. And she says it plays into this insidious narrative of the perfect victim who deserves our sympathy and our grief because she did absolutely everything right. She didn't deserve it. Of course she didn't. But when we say that, no matter how unintentional, there's a tiny unsaid implication that some women do deserve it. A tiny reinforcement of the rules that bind us so tightly we can't breathe. Because if we step outside of them, we know people will think we deserved our own deaths. A tiny little dehumanisation on top of a million other tiny cuts. It doesn't matter what she was doing. It doesn't matter. She shouldn't be dead. And even now when I read it, I'm like, oh, God, I get like chills from that. It's so...
Well, I think it's just a whole other angle that I hadn't really thought of. I hadn't thought of it that way. And I think that thing about like she was only going for a run, or she was only on a run, it kind of, you do then just get you automatically thinking that, oh my gosh, she was just going for a run. She was just, you don't really think about actually all those other incidents that happen to women who, like you say, are in prostitution, or they've had a really heavy night out and they're quite drunk, or people who are addicted to drugs and things like that. You don't give those women the same level that you probably do to her. And that's just, it is a societal thing, isn't it? It's just the way you automatically think.
Well, she's right. It dehumanises women, doesn't it? Because it says, well, on some tiny little level, if they hadn't have put themselves in those situations, maybe it wouldn't have happened. So do they really deserve the same outcry because she was a prostitute or a drug addict or an alcoholic, or was meeting somebody she shouldn't, or was in an alleyway, or she was wearing, it's that same narrative of like, well, if you don't want men to touch you like that, don't wear that skirt.
Don't dress like that. Don't be out late at night.
It's got to be, the emphasis has got to be, men learn not to sexually assault, rape, kill, beat women. That our narrative and the goalposts have got to shift. And I think, I've probably been guilty of in the past of saying, well, it was a bit risky what she was doing, wasn't it? Like she, just don't be out at 2 o'clock in the morning if you don't want that to happen.
I remember, Pats, when Sarah Everard, was it Sarah? Which was the woman that got? It wasn't Sarah Everard. There was another lady, wasn't there, that got killed late at night. She was walking through a park in London.
Oh yes, I remember.
I can't think of her name now.
Yeah, I remember.
And again, she was coming back from a friend's or something. She walked through this park, and it was late at night, or sort of early hours of the morning. And I remember you and I talking about that at the time. And my first thought was, why did she choose to walk through a park late at night?
I know,
because
it's awful, isn't it?
And you sort of think, do you know what? Why shouldn't she? Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't my daughter? Why shouldn't? Why was my first thought why did she do that? When
Yeah.
actually it shouldn't be that at all. And
No, it should be why can't men control themselves
Exactly,
to not
yeah.
rape and sexually assault women and beat
Yeah.
them and kill them?
Yeah.
Like,
And do you think, like, is there a link to? I'd always wonder with things like this about the sort of pornography that is
oh yeah,
available to everyone who wants to look for it. But I
Yeah.
think that sort of the violent aspect of a lot of that,
yeah.
does that have an impact on how men perceive women, what
Yeah,
they
I
think
think
they
it
can and
does.
can and can't do? Well, actually, I watched this. I was watching this porno. This man was very violent or very.
But I think it also. I often don't think it's as. I don't think it's as big as that. I think it's more socially underhand than that. I think it's the nuances about where women should be and what they should be doing at certain times of the day and the way that we should live our lives. And, we shouldn't, I suppose if you go back, years and years, women weren't out after a certain amount of time, after a certain time at night. They didn't have the opportunity to vote. And we've come a really long way from that. And that is to be celebrated. But I think I do think that those big sexual, violent, pornographic, but there's lots of men that aren't engaging in that. I think it's the social nuances of what women should be doing and where they should be going, and the conversations that are held about women in men who think it's innocent in the workplace to say certain jokes and to make certain comments about women, and they're brushed off.
Yeah.
And the certain narrative that women have, she shouldn't have been walking late at night. No, that person that murdered her shouldn't have murdered her. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Yeah.
She could have walked through the park naked. She could have had a knife on her, whatever. Like, I'm not condoning those things, but like having weapons on you. But the bottom line is she shouldn't have been killed. She shouldn't be dead. And for all of those other women that have been perhaps in different situations and it's happened to them, they still shouldn't be dead. They still shouldn't be dead. And I think it does dehumanize women's lives when we say, I suppose it's back to the old narrative around girls who were caught up in sexual exploitation. And I suppose the documentary Three Girls about the Rotherham girls changed the narrative. Lots of people would say, well, they were putting themselves in risky situations. No, they weren't. Men were grooming and abusing them, and men were plying them with alcohol. And it was only through that case that our narrative around sexual exploitation changed, and it became about men doing that to girls rather than girls being promiscuous and drinking. Drinking brandy late at night in the park. Well, they're doing that because these men are grooming and coercing them.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's that narrative about the expectation of the way that women should behave and the way that we should be, and we shouldn't be too loud and gregarious, and we should stay in our lane, and we shouldn't be too opinionated, and we absolutely shouldn't walk through a park when it's dark late at night, because who knows what could happen to you. Men never have to think about that.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Men never have to plan their route home. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean there aren't tragic circumstances where men have been murdered and awful things have happened to them. I'm not saying that. But on the whole, men have not had to think, where are my keys? Where's my phone? Have I got the right shoes on? What would I do if somebody approached me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think that person's following me.
Yeah.
I think those footsteps are following me.
And I think I have had numerous times where I have, especially like if it's sort of starting to get dark, if I'm coming back from London or something, and I'm walking just to my car through a car park.
It's horrible.
And I have always had this kind of, I've just got to check who's around me. Is everything okay? Am I safe? And, I sort of think, why should I feel like, why should any woman feel like you are always having to just be
high alert,
cautious? Where are you and who's around? And I think you're right, Pat. I think it has to come down to this is a male responsibility, and we have to start changing the way that men think, and ultimately are, even now I sort of think with Joel, I'd like to think he's a well-rounded, decent
boy.
man, and but ultimately you don't know, do you, when you're out and you're out with other mates or things, sometimes you just kind of forget what you're doing or how you're behaving, and I think we just have to be far more aware of that.
It starts from the challenge of those throwaway comments. It does start from the social nuances of don't talk about women like that. Don't say, it may feel like a joke to you, but don't talk about women like that. It's not a joke to me. I'm a woman. And I think it starts from this challenge. Do you know what? I'd actually love to get Laura Bates on the podcast. She's the founder of the hashtag Everyday Sexism, and she's written a book by the looks of it, just looking on her Instagram, which looks really good, called Men Who Hate Women. And then there's a line through the word hate, and it just says Men Who Women, and it says the extremist nobody is talking about. And I think I would really like to get her on, actually, because I think this conversation is so vitally important. It's comments about, I wouldn't mind if your heels were a bit higher, or do you want to wear that skirt a bit shorter in the office next time? It's all that stuff. We've got to start saying to men, stop it. Those jokes aren't funny. They're not funny anymore. Women die because there's a narrative that says it's okay to do what we want and say what we want about women. Stop it. I'm not having it anymore. I will go out for a run at 8 o'clock at night if I want to. Stop this narrative. And I think it's that. And there's an acknowledgement, but we're not far enough. These names that keep coming out in the press, and even if she was in a dark alley at 2 o'clock in the morning, and she had just been seeing a client because she was a prostitute, she still wouldn't have deserved to be dead. Die. Yeah, she's still a woman, and she still wouldn't deserve to. And I just found that narrative that Laura Bates brought to the table, and I've done it. Same. I'm guilty of it. Yeah,
exactly the same.
Yeah, and I just thought, oh God, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
To think
differently about that.
And changing this whole wave around the way women are spoken about and talked about, and what we've put up with, and when we're silenced on things, and sometimes when we feel controlled by society about what we can and can't do. The narrative's got to change, hasn't it? We've got to stop it. And that also means men saying to other men, I don't like it when you tell jokes like that. I don't like it when you make comments like that. It's not very nice.
Yeah.
Finding the funny.
Anyway, there we are at the end of another episode.
There we go, Pat. Series
4,
episode 2 in the bag. Yeah.
And look, there's loads of ways you can get in touch with Ange and I. You can find us both on Instagram. I'm at Ruth Corden. She's at Ange Corden.
And you can also find the Finding the Funny podcast on both Instagram and Facebook as well.
But that's episode 2 done. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. And we'll be back next week helping you to find more of the funny.